everyone, Cole with Full Scale Frontier here. Today I'm going to show you guys how to dull up your European deer mounts. If you're like me and you just have a skull, you might want to do something about it, and you may need to figure out a way to hang it, because this one here I found in the field. This one hanging up here I had professionally European mounted, and I just got the skull back. There was no hanging bracket on or anything, and so what I did was I found a really cool piece of driftwood and I anchored it to that, and I also put my arrow that I shot the deer with, this is my very first buck, through the wood, and I thought that turned out really cool. So if you guys want to dull up your European mounts, I'm going to show you how to do it with this one here that I found. It's going to be a little bit different than the one back here, but it'll still come out very cool. I'm not going to put an arrow through it because I didn't shoot this one. I feel like that would be a little bit, I don't know if I want to do that because I did it with this one. So, but if you guys want to do that, I can show you basically how to do it the exact same way. It's not very difficult at all, but let's get right to it. I'm going to show you how to dull up your own European mount. Let's do it. First thing you need to do is you need a piece of wood or whatever you're going to use as your backer that you are going to anchor your deer mount to. You need to find that, or you need to buy it, or whatever you're gonna do. You could use a piece of wood. You could run to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy it. I prefer using driftwood, but you might not be by a lake or ocean or something like that. I happen to be near a lake, so what I did on mine, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna find a cool piece of driftwood to mount it to. It's kind of been flooding out here a little bit, but we're gonna see what we can find, hopefully get a cool piece to put it on. All right, so if you're looking for driftwood, the shoreline's a good place to start. And it's really not looking too great for me down in here. Most of it's all wet and flooded, and we need something that's big enough to use for backing. So that, not really a good piece. The type of wood it is, it gets waterlogged very easily, and it's heavy. I don't really want to go with that. I want something lighter. I do like cedar. Cedar works really well. I don't know if I'm gonna find any, but it's kind of a neat piece, but it's rotted out. Got part of a tree root here. It's got some cool markings on it, but it's pretty weak. I don't think we can use that. Piece of bark. Here's a piece of dimensional lumber. This is probably on a dock or something. This could be a cool one if I don't find a nice piece of driftwood, but let's do a little more looking. I'll put it here just in case. This one here looks maybe kind of promising. Let's see how the front looks. Oh yeah, okay. Well, this one looks pretty nice. Not a whole lot of options right here due to the weather and my spot I'm looking at. So I think I'm gonna make this work. For this project, we're gonna need a few tools. You may not have this exact stuff, but you can probably find things similar and do it in a cheap way. So I have a dual oscillating tool here. I'm gonna use this to cut our back branch off our piece of driftwood because I want this to lay flat against a wall. And if this table here was our wall, I can see here that that's gonna hold us out. So I need to cut this piece right back here so it'll lay flat. So that's the very first thing I'm gonna do. And I kinda have to figure out how I want this to sit on the wall. So I'm gonna go straight down. So these tools, by the way, are really great for just a wide variety of uses. Not sponsored by them, but it's a good tool to have. Now the back of our driftwood is cut off of here, and we can go ahead and see if that's going to lay flat for us, because we're gonna need a place to put a wall hanger on the back. And it might very well be here where I just cut that off. Let's see how that sits here. I can probably make that work. Another way you can check is doing the same exact thing I'm doing on a table here. What I'm trying to do is seeing whether or not it'll sit flat. So you could hold this up against a wall as well and figure out if it's gonna sit flat positioned against there. If not, you may need to put the hanger in a different spot, or you may need to go ahead and cut some of the back off to make it work and sit flat. You want it to be balanced. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we're trying to get it pretty decent there. We are going to take our European mount deer skull and we're gonna position it on the wood here and see how it's gonna sit on that. I'm gonna put 2 screws going in the back of the deer skull here, and I'm gonna drill through it first. I'm gonna pre-drill this, and I'm gonna sink 2 screws. It's gonna go through the deer skull into the wood. So we'll turn this around here, see if we can't get it situated here where it's gonna look pretty cool, but it'll sit fine. And this is gonna work better on like a flatter piece of wood. I think that might be where we make it work. I think that kind of will turn out looking pretty good. A little side angle here, but to me that sits flat, so I really don't want a lot of movement. That sits there pretty good, so I'm gonna go ahead and run with it, and I'm gonna go ahead and drill my holes through the back now. And then beyond the tools here, I'm going to use 2 3-inch Torx head deck screws to sink into the back of the deer skull here. And then for our wall hanger, I'm going to use a large wall hanging tab. I think they call these D-rings. I could be a little off on that, but I think they're called D-ring hangers here. I am going to choose one that is smaller than my screw. And the way you do that is you hold them up next to each other and you line it up. If you can't see the drill bit underneath your screw threading, that means you have a smaller size drill bit, okay? So I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna start out small and I'm gonna pre-drill through the bone into the wood. So the reason I drilled it that way is because I now have my drill holes there and I have my drill holes there, and I don't want to over drill size wise in the wood, but I need to know where it's going to sit. Now I'm going to put a bigger drill bit on, and I'm only going to screw through the back of the deer skull in both of these. And I'm going to make those bigger than the actual screw size itself. So now, as you can see, that's actually going to tighten, and I'm afraid that'll break the deer skull if I screw it through there. So I'm going to make these bigger than the screw size itself. So I used a 1/8 initially, now I'm going to use a 3/16 drill bit. Now you can see we went all the way through the bone. Now our screws are going to go through there into the wood. Before I attach my skull onto the wood here, I'm going to go ahead and put the wall hanger on the back of my piece of driftwood. I'm going to have to switch my drill bit here to a Phillips. I've decided just to put my wall hanger here where I cut the wood, so I'm going to go ahead and make that work. Be just fine sitting flat, so I can go ahead and drill that in now. We're trying to keep it, you know, somewhat straight as we're doing this. Alright guys, I've got my hole screwed here and I'm ready to set this in the wood with my 3-inch deck screws here. I'm just going to use 2. Now, it's important here that I oversized my holes here in the bone. I didn't want that to split off or break, so what's going to happen is my screw is going to set right through there easily, but it's going to sink into the wood and hold because I didn't over drill through the wood. So I'm going to get these lined up here to match the holes in my wood that I pre-drilled, and we'll be good to go. And I'm just going to go back and forth. I'm not overdoing one versus the other. A little bit on each side. We can see here that we have screwed through and it's holding into the wood. I can now shake this back and forth. It's not going anywhere. It's held on there solid. And our mount is pretty much done and ready to hang. All right guys, I think I want the European mount to go up there in this open spot on the wall. Do I want to put there, or do I want to use a drywall anchor and split the center? Honestly, I'm kind of unsure. I might put a drywall anchor up. The drywall anchor says drill a 1/4 hole, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna put it right here. I'm just kind of eyeballing this, to be honest with you. There we go. We got into some insulation, no big deal. I can go ahead and pop that right in. Okay, that should leave enough to hang my mount on. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking with me through it. If you guys want to see some of our other content on the YouTube channel, you can check out Full Scale Frontier. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.